Hello and welcome to Your United Way. My name is Ashley Wright. I'm Executive Director for the United Way here in Paducah, McCracken County. And this show is all about connecting you with your community. Today I have three great guests I'm very excited to introduce, and we're going to really talk about children and how they're being impacted in our community, specifically around the issues of poverty and what's going on with them in Paducah and McCracken County. I want to introduce first Cindy Barletto, Executive Director for the Paducah Day Nursery. Thank you for being here, Cindy.
Thank you for having us.
Clarence Nunn, who is the Director for the Oscar Cross Boys and Girls Club, and Carrie Moore, who's the Coordinator for Girl Scouts here in Paducah. Thank you all so much for being here. I think we have a really important issue to talk about and something that's obviously close to all of your hearts, which is children. I want to talk first about kind of the broad issues that go along with children in our community. And each of you work in unique organizations that are, I think, focusing on children in very different ways. But in your opinions, what do you see as the biggest issue facing youth of any age in our community right now? Who wants to go first?
Well, I guess I can go first. It's so much out here for kids to do nowadays. I mean, growing up as a kid, our world was limited. The kids nowadays, everything is in front of it. They get it from everywhere, the TV, the streets, everything. And they have so much to judge things from or try to decipher between what's right and what's wrong. And I think where we come in is trying to guide them in the right direction, putting them on the right road to go, you know, because it's just so much that they can get into.
So much temptation.
Internet,
yeah.
Everything. You know, in our club, when they're on the computers, there's certain areas that we won't even let them go into on the internet and things. So it's just so much to get into, and so much knowledge they can gain without their parents knowing or without any adult knowing what they're doing.
We are also seeing a trend right now with families, of course, whenever they're in economic hardship, children feel the stress of that. Mm-hmm. We have a new trend of grandparents raising the grandchildren, so of course that puts quite a bit of a hardship, and Clarence might be able to say if that's a trend he's seeing also. And just a need of support for the grandparents to help them do what they, of course, you know, whenever I'm 50, 60, you've had a few years of gap on knowing what is appropriate for children to do. So I see that there needs to be a little bit more support for the grandparents that are raising
Are you seeing
children.
that particular demographic is maybe not as savvy about what's going on the internet or what's going on at school as say someone in their 20s or 30s raising children?
Definitely, definitely.
Carrie, what are you seeing?
Working with girls, obviously there has been a huge shift in body, the way girls look at themselves and their body image and their self-confidence. And so we've had a lot of schools contact us, leaders, asking us what can we do about girls and this issue of self-esteem. So we've worked really hard with, we have a new program called Uniquely Me that we can use. We go into the schools and present this program, and we're creating some partnerships with Oscar Cross Boys and Girls Club this summer and this fall to just to let those girls know just that they are important and who they are, and a little bit more about courage, confidence, and character. So,
and I know, Clarence, how long have you been at Oscar Cross?
12 years.
Okay, and Cindy, how long have you been?
5 years.
All right, and you're fairly new to the Girl Scout.
Five years.
Okay. Well, so do you think that you all have seen a difference in the issues that young people are facing since you've entered into this profession?
Let me try to give you a little example of what I'm talking about. A lady was in the club signing up her daughter to join the Boys and Girls Club, and so happened the child, the mother, and the grandmother was standing at the front desk. When I remember my grandmother, she was already in her 60s.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, this particular grandmother was 42. So you can imagine how old the mother was. And then you got the young lady standing there that's 8. So it's not a whole lot of gap of knowledge between everybody here and everybody. You know, mother and daughter's not that far apart.
Right.
So those things you run into nowadays. Back in when I was growing up, again, I'll say my grandmother was 60, so I'm seeing knowledge from her that's passed down to my mother, and my mother passing it down to her. And then again, the church came in a lot with what we did. The older women in church would take some of these younger girls. The older men in church would take some of the younger guys and put knowledge there. But it seems like everybody's so close together as far as age nowadays, and that can play a big role in the development of a child.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something, Clarence, that I'm wondering if you see is missing, is that mentorship piece.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to get across there was it's not much mentoring there, because when you have the grandmother still active going out and the daughter is real active, the child is kind of left behind here as far as, so I think where we step in there is kind of guiding this child along, because you want a kid to do kid things. You don't want them to grow too fast.
And I wonder if the lack of that mentoring, as you're saying, is allowing them to experience things far too soon in life.
Exactly.
And how do you all address that? You know, what are you doing around those issues?
Well, of course, I think one thing would be to cut out, like Clarence said, monitoring, you know, children and internet, you know, the Facebook and cell phone usage even is something. I think we've become a lot faster in communicating, where, you know, whenever I was a teenager, my parents who were talking to me because they had to call, you know, and talk to my father before they were allowed to talk to me. So that, you know, like Clarence touched on, you know, when families have, you know, are trying to live their life, you know, where in the past it's always been when you have children you're normally settled down, and you know, I think it becomes harder to focus on the child, and the child kind of gets left in the, you know, left out as far as guidance sometimes. What we are trying to do is teach, just, of course, we have a younger age group. We try to teach basic civility, manners, you know, that's things, learning how to, you know, measure. There was, you know, I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my mother, and I feel like a lot of those things are getting lost, you know, on our younger generations.
I'm always surprised how many young people have cell phones. I mean, I know that's so
amazing,
but I mean, I remember thinking when someone had a cell phone when I was younger, man, they are rich. That is it was such a unique thing. And now everybody has one. You know, I mean, you see 4- and 5-year-olds that have cell phones now. And I understand the logic. Parents think because there's so much time that they're not with their children now, it's a way to stay connected. And but it seems like it opens such a door. It's very scary in some ways. Yes,
and that texting thing, you know, is everybody's text. Well, if you can't monitor, who are you texting to? You know, and you have a tendency, and I've seen it happen, is some kids, especially girls, gets text messages from people that mother don't want them to have, or dad don't want them to have text messages. And how do you monitor that? You know, so it's a problem, and technology plays a big role in the development of a child. So we parents have to monitor their kids, you know. One of the things that when we talking with parents, do you have dinner together anymore? People don't have dinner. Have you ever gone to a house and there's 3 TVs in the house and dinner's going on, and one kid is over here, somebody's over, everybody's looking at TV, and nobody's sitting at the dinner table anymore? Because in my family, even with my kids, dinner time, everything is down. So that's the way we communicate it at the table, and you can find out a lot. What happened in your day today? What happened, how was school today? Well, Dad, how was work today? You know, and a lot of times I say crazy, you know. But we have a tendency, those things are taken out of our life, and you can see it with the kids.
You know, I read a report from Kids Count that said in McCracken County, 1 in every 4 children are born into poverty in our community. And I think for some of our viewers, that is going to be a pretty astonishing fact. Many of us don't live in that reality, but I'm wondering, in the work that you do, how does that statistic resonate with the children that you work with on a daily basis?
I think to see for me that poverty does put a considerable amount of stress on the parent to be able to make ends meet. And like I said earlier, if you have stress, if a parent has stress, it does pass on to the child. If you have a mother that has to work, a single mother that has to work 2 jobs, how's she able to, you know, spend as much time, you know, teaching those, you know,
right.
basic life skills that get passed on that we, by the time they get to schools, expect for them to know. So I see that as a major. So that's why, you know, agencies such as ourselves, you know, have a great responsibility to make sure that those basic life skills get taught to these children.
Yeah.
I think, you know, at the Girl Scouts, we provide that opportunity for those female mentors to come in and teach these girls, and not just their parents, you know, including their parents obviously, but also to learn that there's other female adults out there and males that do care about them,
yeah.
and care about, you know, what they become and who they are. So.
Well, I think you touched on a point too. How many of those kids I know, I can say at least 70–80% of the kids that come into my club are from single parents household.
Mm-hmm.
So if that kid is not in the club, he's going home by himself, mm-hmm. because the mother's working, or the father, and it's a lot of fathers out here, and I have to say they stepped up and doing what they have to do as far as they are the single parent that's
mm-hmm.
running the house. And we try to help those kind of people, that we can give them a place to come where the kid is going to gain something there. We are not a babysitting organization there. When a kid walks in, we want him to leave with some knowledge that's going to help him in life.
Yeah.
You know, we want a well-rounded kid. That's when we cover different areas of, and we understand that you take a kid out of school 8 hours, he's been in school. We have them come in, and especially with the younger kids, you must spend an hour doing your homework. Mm-hmm. But at some point, they have to let energy off. So that's when other things come in, because you just can't sit them down for another 3 or 4 hours, right. and say do homework,
yeah.
do schoolwork. You know.
And I know, Cindy, I mean, obviously you're a daycare, but yes. I know from talking to you and from knowing your organization that it's far from just a babysitting, a place to drop your kids off. I mean, there is a lot of developmental work that goes on
yes.
with those young people, and so and as well with you, Carrie, I know that you all are teaching life skills in a lot of ways about budgeting and things like that with the young people. In many ways, these organizations have, as you all have all alluded to, really had to fill in those gaps from where families might have become one-parent homes, or both parents are working 2 jobs, and so that must be a very big responsibility.
It is, truly, with help, you know, with organizations such as United Way, though, we're giving, you know, of course, the funding and the manpower. You know, United Way hooks us up with lots of volunteers and people who are interested in. We could always use, you know, more. But you know, it is a large responsibility, but it's a responsibility that I think we have to fulfill in order to raise these productive citizens later on in the future.
Well, and I think too, it's very important, is the staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The staff is very important, and that's the reason if you come around our club, you'll see men on the staff, mm-hmm. Men that already had careers and that can give a child, especially males, some knowledge out there. You know, and I like men that can give, especially teenagers, that I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. I've been there, I've done that, and this is the end result if you keep on this kind of path here. So you have to have a very good staff that's around you that can, and I'm been so fortunate that most of the staff that I have with me right now has been with me since I've been there. So the kids have to build up a trust.
Yeah.
If they don't trust you, they're not going to deal with you.
Well, I was really impressed when I was at your place, I guess last week, how, yeah, that I saw all these men there. And I do think that that is not necessarily the norm in my work in nonprofit. There tends to be a lot of females drawn to this profession, and I'm so proud of that, but I also see the need to have these strong male role models in the lives of some of these young people, and I'm very, very proud of that, to have seen that.
I got some tough ones too.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Jennings, he's been with me, and he's a retired Master Sergeant from the Marines. And I twisted my brother's arm to come in and help me, and he's a retired lieutenant from the Michigan State Police. And one of the guys that when I first joined, took the job as Boys and Girls Club, was a Paducah police officer, Sergeant Sean Maxey. He's been with me. So I try to put those kind of people around kids, and especially with the police Sean and everything, to make kids understand this guy is just like you. He's normal, but when he's out there, he does his job, but the kids love him. And they realize who he is, and they realize if they see him out there, he's just doing his job.
Yeah, yeah. And it probably, as you said, kind of not only creates that respect, but I think helps people understand the law enforcement they are doing their job, and they are human, and you know that if you live by the rules,
exactly,
you know, life goes a lot smoother.
That's right.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and come back and talk a little bit more specifically about the work that you all are doing with the children that you are working with on a daily basis. So we'll be right back. Hi and welcome back. I'm Ashley Wright, your host for Your United Way, and I have with me three guests today, and we're talking about issues regarding children in our community. And I just want to quickly reintroduce our guests for those of you just tuning in. Carrie Moore, who is with the Girl Scouts, Clarence Nunn with Oscar Cross Boys and Girls Club, and Cindy Barletto with Paducah Day Nursery. Thank you all again for being here. We've kind of talked in the first part of our show about some broader issues going on with children in our community, and I want to talk a little bit more specifically about what programs your organization is a part of or leading that are really helping to address these issues. And Carrie, you said earlier that the Boys and Girls Club and Girl Scouts is looking to partner in a program, and I'd love for you both to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. They have a summer program, a 6-week program, I believe, right. And we are going to present two weeks of those weeks and just come in and talk to the kids about, it's a program called Sensibility, and it's all about economics and life skills. It's amazing when you talk to kids, even 5th grade, and you tell them teach them how to write a check, or tell them what taxes are, so they don't get their first paycheck and like, who is this?
Yeah.
This much out of my tax. So, but it's just a program they choose. We talk about careers, and we talk about the education that it takes to get to those careers, and it's really interesting to see the kids transition at the beginning and the end, because they have to actually budget. And so at the end they say, well, now I know how my mom feels, or now I know how dad feels. So it's a very good program. We're looking forward to working with them on that.
Great, wonderful. And what I know you all are doing, you're getting ready to launch, I guess, your summer program. And what kind of specific things are you doing in that program?
Well, the program this summer, theme of the program is survival. And
very fitting, I think.
and it's a lot of things that's going to go into survival. You know, we had a snowstorm, ice storm back in the winter, and we want to go back and touch on some of the things that we got caught off guard with as far as survival, and putting those things in kids' life, because we want them to know that in any kind of circumstance in life, it's ways that you can go about handling those situations and to keep the stress down on you and your family. So we're going to go back and touch on some survival things, and hopefully that we can get it across to them. Sometimes it don't look like it's getting across to them, but it sticks in their head.
What about you, Cindy? What are you? I know you have some kind of exciting news.
We do have some exciting news. We have changed locations. We are 2425 South 25th Street. We have taken over the C.J. Moss Center there, which will allow us to increase our capacity and also improve the quality of the child care that we are able to give. The facility is very well equipped, so we are very excited. This is day 3 of the move. We are very tired. Day 3 of starting our summer program. So, but you know, even with all the commotion and the chaos of moving, we just see all the benefits, and you know, we are very blessed that the Housing Authority, you know, gave us that space, and just very excited.
Now, are you all able to have a Head Start at this facility?
They are currently in Head Start. I think we kind of do a move around depending on where they need locations, and we're hoping that we will be able to have Head Start, you know, back with us in the fall.
Great,
so
great.
That's a great resource to a lot of the children that we serve. You know, are enrolled in Head Start, so that partnership would be, you know, an excellent resource for the children. Also a smoother transition for the children.
And what capacity will you all be able to hold now?
144. Our
Wow.
capacity has increased. We had a previous capacity of 67. So
wonderful.
Yes, such a blessing.
And such a big change.
Such a big change. Such a big change.
I wanted to kind of give you all the opportunity, I think at the end of our show here, to talk a little bit briefly about some of your success stories, because I think it's important. We talk about the poverty rate, we talk about all of the things that are weighing on youth in our community, but there's a lot of great things that young people are doing and doing through your program. So would you all mind sharing just 1 or 2 minutes at the most, kind of some of the things you've seen happen?
We have a troop that has been, they've started in kindergarten, and they're now juniors, which they're about 4th and 5th grade. And they are girls that would not otherwise have the opportunity to be in Girl Scouts. So we have a very special volunteer who's been involved with them. She's not a parent or an aunt. She's just a special woman. And she's taken these girls, and they have saved their cookie money, and they are actually leaving next week for Disney World.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's a huge success story. The girls are flying in an airplane. Many of them have never left the state.
Right.
So this is a huge deal for them.
That's
so
great.
And their parents, some of their parents are getting to go. So to me, that's a huge success. These girls, the leader had said you know, they didn't know a lot about delayed gratification when they started, and now they're seeing how, you know, things like that can happen. So.
Wonderful. Just have a few minutes, so share quickly.
We currently have a mother of 2 that is going through the RN program, and we are able to offer our fees through the program that United Way sponsors on a sliding scale based on the parent's income. So she's at the lowest rate, going to school full time. She has about two more semesters to go, and then she will be able to get out and you know, support the children on our own. Excellent program.
And that's the goal, obviously.
That is the goal. And then we have small triumphs, as like learning to tie our shoes and stuff, but we won't go there today.
Clarence, what about you?
We have a group in the club. It's a Keystone group. It's a leadership group, and it usually averages 20, 25 kids. 99% of those kids graduate from high school. And out of that group, since I've been there, we've got 14 graduates from college, and 2 are in law. One just graduated from law school. Wonderful. And another one will graduate from law school next year. So we look at that and call those successes.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and they're all successes, and whether it's learning to tie your shoe or graduating from law school. I mean, I think that the work that you all are doing in this community is so valuable, and I'm so grateful that the United Way can help support the work that you do, and I hope that the community understands the value that you all add to the children's lives in this community. So I thank you all so much for being here today, and I thank you all for watching. Join us again next time for another edition of Your United Way.